Alright guys, welcome back to the Hellcat rebuild. Today we are going to be installing the rest of the wiring harness. In the last video I got it all the way done to the back seats. Now we're going to finish the rest of the car. Also I'm going to finish putting all the interior back in the car, get everything buttoned up, get the cooling system bled, get everything ready to go for the alignment shop and to have the red key hopefully on Monday. So that's what we're shooting for. Hopefully we can get it done. Also, if you're not following me on Instagram, go check it out. I post a lot of stuff before I post it on YouTube, especially with the Hellcat build, since I have been waiting for parts and doing stuff on the side. So definitely is a good way to see what's going on the channel without seeing the videos, or before you see the videos, because I do post everything before. Let's get to work on this thing, get it busted out, and hopefully we can hear this thing run open headers very shortly. Finished removing the wiring harness that ran along the roof. To do that, I had to drop the curtain airbag and the headliner. Now I'm going to put the new one in, put the headliner back up. Still working on the wiring harness. The headliner is back in. All the visors are back in. Everything is good to go with that. That is nice, and it's done. I wish some things that I wish Dodge would have done, and I don't know why they didn't do them, but first thing, the headliner should have its own harness. It could have a plug right here. So if you replace the body harness, obviously the headliner harness, most likely it won't go bad. Two, the damn trunk doesn't have a separate harness either. So you literally have to pull the whole body harness off, which is kind of weird to me, because usually if you get in a wreck, it's most likely in the rear or the front. And if you do get in a wreck and it damages the wiring harness for the trunk, then you have to replace the whole body harness. It makes no sense. So the thing that's kind of irritating me right now that Dodge did, it's not as much that this harness is part of the body harness, because I have the body harness, but I have the whole thing off. You have to drop this down. But now to get the last plug off of the harness, which is this plug right over here, it goes to the whole center tail light. Where's it at? It's the one that goes through this grommet. It's where's it at? It's this one plug right there. This plug, this black plug, is the only plug that I have to unplug. And you can see it has, you know, a decent amount of length on it and has a grommet. You think that Dodge would have figured out that if you're doing something with the wiring harness and you want to pull it through, they would give you enough length to unplug that plug. But they obviously want you to remove this whole back tail light assembly. It's it just, I mean, I've been working on this so long. It's that just bothered me. It probably bothered me too much. I don't know why it bothered me so bad, but it did. So if anybody from Dodge is watching, you probably would be smart to put a plug somewhere. I mean, you could put a plug back behind this carpeting, and you could put a plug for the roof harness. I mean, you have plugs everywhere, but you don't have any plugs for the trunk harness, which is part of the body harness, which doesn't make sense. And you don't have a plug for the roof harness, which doesn't make sense, because you have a plug for the sun visors that go to the headliner. It doesn't make sense to me. So I'm gonna pull that whole rear center tail light garnish. I've never pulled one before. It looks like there's probably quite a bit of screws that hold it on. Get that plug unplugged and then get the new harness in. That is the last plug that I have to unplug to get the harness back in and get all the interior back in the car. So I think that's why it bothered me so much. But let's get back to work and get this thing busted out. The trunk harness is now removed from the trunk. One thing I don't understand is why Dodge goes through all of this stuff to put this nice carpeted stuff here, all the plastic trim around the taillights, all this like stuff to make it look really, really nice. And then they don't even clear any of this stuff. Like, none of that's cleared. It's only cleared up to like right on that edge, which is crazy to think that they could just clear the whole thing. Like, if you're not going to clear this, why even clear the door jambs? So Yeah, I'm kind of disappointed. This is a really expensive car, and Dodge doesn't even clear that. They barely even wrap around the edge of the trunk with clear. So yeah, that doesn't really concern me, but it's just kind of disappointing. Just a fun fact, if you guys are going to remove one of these taillight centers, they're kind of a pain. They're kind of a pain, but they're kind of not. They have these nice, one thing I did like is they have these nice things right here that hold the tail light in. There's 4 of those that go in those 4 holes, and then you pop, there's little pins that go in these little square things, and you just pop them. But to actually finish removing it, you have to undo 2 torques, which that's another thing I don't understand. Why have like the little twisty guys if you still need torques? Something's going on with the engineers over at Dodge. You guys aren't thinking things through. But got this thing off, and now throw the other wiring harness in, and we should be able to get this thing to at least key on and maybe start. It's getting close. Throw the seats in. It's really close. Get rid of the old wiring harness. Boys, we're getting there. The Hellcat interior is now 99% finished, and I am so stoked on how it's coming out. It is just super, super clean. I have to put the trim on the front of the dash, and then I have to put these things in. That's all that's left to do inside the car. Everything else is done. Coming back to the trunk, I still am fighting the wiring harness. There is one more lead that goes through the floor outside the car. I'm going to do that in a second. Also, the battery tray, I didn't notice it was busted from the accident, so I'm going to grab a new battery tray, put the new harness all buttoned up, new battery, put everything back in the trunk, and we'll be good in the back of the trunk as well. I thought I was getting really close to having the wiring harness done. I finally got all that stuff done. I got the plug in the center done. I'm ready to lay the fuse box out, and then I go to pull the old harness out, and I realize there is one more plug. So this plug is for all the rear backup sensors and everything, and all that stuff, the side markers on the bumper, but there's no plug in the car. There's a plug right here, and then there's a plug for the crash sensor in the center all the way out here. So hopefully I undid the clips here, pulled the passenger side taillight. Hopefully I can get my arm in there to get the clips popped and the sensor unplugged, and then put the new one in without removing the bumper. I really don't want to have to remove it, but if I have to, I'll just have to buy some extra plastic rivets. So by some miracle, I was able to get all of these clips undone, the harness is unplugged, and I did end up having to remove the driver's side taillight. That was just so I could lift this up and get my arm in there to pop the clips, and also get that plug unplugged. It is like right here, and you can barely see it. You probably can't see it, but it's like right there. I can get my hand in there. So now I could finally get the old harness out, lay the new harness in, clip everything in, and this thing will finally be ready to actually turn on. I can put the whole rear trunk in, interior, all the stuff, the sub, the rear trunk carpet, everything could go back in it. Get this thing ready, and I probably after that will be able to start it up, and we can hear her run again. But this time she'll be open headers for just temporarily. I just want to hear what it sounds like with no exhaust on it. But The trunk is all now sorted out. The wiring is all sorted out, all plugged in, all ran. Everything is put back together. I just need to throw the rear carpet cover over the subs and everything, plug the battery in, and I have the key in my truck. And let's key her on and see what happens. All right, so we have everything put back together. We have power. The headlights are on. You can see the Hellcat emblem inside the duct. I think it is time to go inside and key this thing on and look through the menus, make sure everything's working. It's pretty surreal actually sitting in this thing again after it being like apart in a million pieces forever. Oh man, look at that. 1,261 miles. Look at that. I'm kind of worried the display. Oh man, I thought that wasn't gonna work. I was like, oh no, the display. Oh, radio locked. Please start the vehicle. I'm not in park either. Well, I guess we're gonna have to go just send it with no oil pressure, with like no knowing what the oil pressure is. So. Well, that was actually good that there's no fuel in there in the system, so it just gave it the crank. So now I should have good oil pressure. Let's go to what do I need to press to get this thing into? Oh, it's mad because it's not in park. Now it thinks it's in park, which is good. There we go. Now it'll shut up. So let's see. Let's go back to accessories. Come on. I don't know why this is taking so long to start up. Oh, maybe it needs to be on. There we go. Accept. Okay. Man, I don't know how to... Do I need to do this? There we go. I need to go to... Custom. Auto. Okay, I want to see the gauges. There we go. Come on, baby. I think it'd actually be pretty quick, but man, this is taking forever. There we go, oil pressure. That's what I want to see. Let's try to give her a start again. Oil pressure. It's loud, really loud. Man, she is loud without the exhaust. I am definitely, and it doesn't sound as good. I'm putting the exhaust back on. Let's do that. Plug the O2 sensors back in, but she started up. Hell yeah, I'm really pumped about that. And one thing I'm not exactly sure, it still doesn't do it, is that window over there. It doesn't roll up. I'm not exactly sure why it doesn't, or maybe it did. No, I think every time you open the door, it does that. It doesn't go back up for some reason. So we'll have to figure out what's going on with that. Probably when we take it to get an alignment, I'll have them check that out. But, or when I get the key made, I'll have them check it out. Maybe it's something with a key. Maybe it's something with the, I still have to plug in 2 airbag sensors. But yeah, she fired up and she sounded good. Good oil pressure. Everything seemed like it was good to go. I still need to add some coolant. Looks like it sucked in some coolant, so we'll do that as well. But I'm really pumped about the Hellcat coming together like that. So let's throw it back up on the lift, do the mid pipes with the cats, plug all the O2 sensors back in, and or the post O2 sensors back in, and then it'll sound. The exhaust is now bolted back in. Everything else is hooked up. Lower it down, start it up, and we're gonna hear that nice, sexy Hellcat sound. All right, so the Hellcat starts right up, runs, has great oil pressure. Everything seems like it's okay. I need to go now out in the junkyard, and I'm gonna try to find something that will fit this, but also have a larger shank so we could button up this intake. And other than that, I need to probably, what I'm gonna do is just bend these pipes back. They're not really that bent, and then put them back in. And I need to also hook up the pump for the supercharger, but I don't have the riv nuts, but I may just use round ones instead, since I can't find the normal ones that are supposed to go in there. If I looked a little bit harder, I probably could find them, but now I'm really excited. So I'm, I'm ready to drive this thing.